Hi friends, welcome to Organic Chemistry. You're learning with Dr. T. Agustin Arul Prasad. Have a wonderful learning. Welcome to this course on NMR spectroscopy. On completion of this module, you will be able to understand the basic concept of NMR, to identify NMR active and inactive nuclei, to analyze the conditions of a nuclei to be called an NMR active nuclei, to evaluate the types of relaxation processes a nuclei undergoes, to demonstrate the process of shielding and deshielding. NMR is such a wonderful tool that is helpful in determining the structure of molecule. It is a non-destructive analytical technique which is used to probe the nature and characteristics of molecular structure. It has a wide range of applications in various disciplines like physics, chemistry, biology, spectroscopy. Also, every day, new methods of application of NMR has become an active area of research. This technique is based on the fact that nuclei of atoms have magnetic properties that can be used to yield chemical information. Hence, it is important to introspect and visualize the conditions as to when a nuclei will feel the magnetic field. For that, a nuclei is identified being active or non-active by determining its spin. It is also crucial to understand the mechanism and chemistry surrounding such nuclei and to know how shielded and deshielded a nuclei is. Nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy is the most powerful and broadly applicable technique for structure determination used by the chemist. NMR allows the characterization of a very small amount of sample, say around 2 milligram, and it does not destroy the sample like how the sample gets destroyed in a mass spectrometry. Therefore, these two aspects are advantages which one can take into account as far as NMR spectroscopy is concerned. A very minimum amount of sample is required and the technique is non-destructive. Therefore, you can always retrieve the sample after taking the NMR spectrum. It can provide a vast information about the molecular structure, and in some cases the structure of the compound can be determined using only NMR spectroscopy. In practice, the structures of complicated molecules are determined through a combination of techniques like UV visible spectroscopy, IR spectroscopy, mass spectroscopy, elemental analysis, etc. Since organic compounds are primarily made up of carbon and hydrogen, NMR identifies the various type of hydrogen and carbon atom environments in the organic molecules. The hydrogen nucleus is the most commonly studied nuclei by NMR spectroscopy because of its high natural abundance, which is around 99.985% and its presence in majority of the organic compounds. NMR studying hydrogen atom is called hydrogen or proton NMR spectrum. The proton NMR gives information about the different types of protons attached to the carbon atoms and hence the chemical environment around it. Carbon forms the backbone of the organic molecules and therefore carbon NMR is also important and it gives valuable information about that molecule. The carbon 12 isotope do not absorb in the radio frequency region but the other isotope, that is carbon 13, absorbs the energy. But carbon 13 has a natural abundance of only about 1%. Therefore, the C13 NMR is quite difficult to take, and it also has very less sensitivity. Therefore, the sensitivity of carbon 13 is less than proton NMR and requires a long time to record. Likewise, fluorine 19 and phosphorus 31 are also frequently examined to get crucial information about the structure of compound containing these elements, especially amino acids and proteins. What is an NMR active nuclei? We all know that the nuclei is built up of protons and neutrons, each possessing an angular momentum due to its motion about the center of the nucleus. The total angular momentum of a particular nucleus is the vector sum of the individual momentum of the constituent protons. Let us say if I vector is the angular momentum of a proton and j vector is the angular momentum of the neutron, then I plus j will give you the total angular momentum. Okay, total angular momentum of a particular nucleus, which is a vector quantity. The total angular momentum of a nucleus in its ground state is called nuclear spin, which is denoted by I or J. This is characterized by a spin quantum number I, which may be an integral or a half integral or 0. Many atomic nuclei have a property called spin. The nuclei behaves as if they were spinning, like a spinning top. In fact, any atomic nucleus that possesses either odd mass, odd atomic number, or both has a quantized spin angular momentum and a magnetic moment. The more common nuclei that possesses this nuclear spin include hydrogen, deuterium, carbon 13, nitrogen 14, oxygen 17 and fluorine 19. Notice that the nuclei of ordinary isotope of carbon and oxygen, which is carbon 12 and oxygen 16, are not included among those with the spin property. However, the nucleus of ordinary hydrogen atom, the proton, does have a spin. Now, for each nucleus with a spin, the number of allowed spin states it may adopt is quantized, and it is determined by its nuclear spin quantum number I. For each nucleus, the number I, which is nuclear spin, is a physical constant, and there are 2I plus 1 allowed spin states with integral differences ranging from plus L to minus L. The individual spin states fit into the sequence plus I, I minus 1, and it goes till minus I plus 1, minus I. So one need to understand that the nuclear spin can have values equal to 0, or it can be an integer like 1 comma 2 comma 3, or it can be an half integral like 1 by 2, 3 by 2, 5 by 2, etc. So those nuclei which has a nuclear spin value of either an integral value or an half integral value alone are NMR active. In order to understand how to calculate this nuclear spin, one need to understand the nuclear shell structure, which is shown here in this diagram. We need to understand that inside the nucleus, the nucleons are arranged like how electrons are arranged in the shells and inside the orbitals. So in a nuclear shell structure which is obtained by the quantum mechanical requirements, one can understand that it starts with 1s. So the 1s is here. So 1s, 1s, 1 by 2. So this is the first shell, and so it will have two nucleons. Now this shell structure has 1s, 1p, 1d, 2s, 1f, 2p, etc. And this is common for both protons and neutrons. So for each nucleon, that is for proton, you will have a shell structure like this, and for neutron you will have a shell structure like this. And you can see here we have the spin orbit coupling, which is given as 1 by 2, 3 by 2, 5 by 2 and 7 by 2. Now let us try to understand how to calculate the nuclear spin for a particular nucleus. But before that, let us understand that, for instance, for a proton which has a spin quantum number I is equal to 1 by 2, which we are going to learn very shortly how to calculate this, as two allowed spin states according to the formula 2i plus 1, and the allowed spin states are minus half and plus half. For a chlorine nucleus, I is equal to 3 by 2, and there are 4 allowed spin states. 2 into 3 by 2 plus 1, that is equal to 4. Therefore, it can have minus 3 by 2, minus 1 by 2, plus 1 by 2 and plus 3 by 2. The table here gives the spin quantum numbers of several nuclei, and one can understand that those nuclei which has a spin quantum number 0 are NMR inactive, and those nuclei which has a net spin quantum number are NMR active. Now, in the absence of an applied magnetic field, all the spin states of a given nucleus are of equivalent energy. In other words, they are degenerate. And in a collection of atoms, all of the spin states should be almost equally populated with the same number of atoms having each of the allowed spins.